And now, you're tuned in to RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's Revalor Sports.
Tampa Bay area, how are we doing tonight, everyone? This is James Knowles coming at you for RBLR Sports. I am here with my partner Leo to talk about the Rowdies for the RBLR Rowdies show specifically. How are you doing, Leo? Before we get to everything else, we've got to get that out of the way because there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about. It's very exciting to look forward to. So, for that reason, I'm doing well. I had a great weekend. Got to go to the Rowdies game this past Saturday, and I'm excited. I'm very, very excited for this week. And I'm pretty sure you are as well, James.
Whew, yeah, there's some nerves in my body.
Yeah.
I can feel it. I can feel my bones tingling, all that kind of stuff. We're going to see how it goes, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. There's more stuff to talk about than just what everybody knows is coming up here. Let's get beforehand into this past game from the weekend. The Rowdies played at home on Saturday versus FC Tulsa in a 3-1 win. Leo, you predicted a draw. I predicted a win. So I get 1 point and you get no points. That leaves us both on 7. How are you feeling about that one?
You know what, James? Once the Rowdies got that early goal, I already knew that I was not gonna get that point in our prediction. I just knew it wasn't gonna happen. But on the bright side, we did get a win. So overall, I'm feeling good about the win. Not so good about getting the incorrect result.
Fair enough. Well, I'll take that. It does leave us level on 7, as I said, so it's not like it gave me that big of any type of advantage here. Before we get into the quick review of the game, I just want to say please follow RBLR Sports on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And, of course, please like and subscribe to our podcast on all major podcast platforms. Now, that quick review, let us get to it. Tulsa's game on Wednesday, which we had talked about before, they were supposed to play Memphis. That game was canceled because of severe weather in Tennessee. So instead of playing a tired team like we expected, we ended up playing full-strength FC Tulsa. Our starting 11, though, was the first major talking point. There was a lot of rotation here, so let's get through that. Rico Rosarena was starting in net. Lawrence White, Connor Antley, and Aaron Guillen at the back. Sebastian Dalgard, Lewis Hilton, Jan Ecker, and Jake Araman across the midfield. And up top, we saw Jake Lacava and Sebastian Guenzati sitting a little bit deeper than Kyle Gregg. As I said, that rotation, obviously, that was very important because it's going to factor into the game that we have coming up on Wednesday. But it really wasn't a problem because the Rowdies were able to pull it off. I believe we scored 2 goals in the first half, and then Dayon Harris got one very late in the game. I was not able to be there. I had a very busy weekend. I actually haven't even had a chance to do the rewatch, so I am going to leave it up to Leo for all the analysis here. I do want to say that the Rowdies did lead on all major statistics. That much you can get without having watched the game. The Rowdies actually put out a graphic that showed that our expected goals was 4.76 to Tulsa's, which was 0.98. So obviously, I think that the Rowdies were pretty dominant there. And let's get through that now and just jump into the questions. Now, Tulsa is not necessarily, a very bad team this year, but you could say that the Rowdies tossed out a bit of a reserves team. And, Leo, tell me, how are we able to win this game? You saw it. You can give me a little bit more of that information that I've been missing.
Yeah, Jay, no, you said it yourself. Tulsa is not a bad team. Heading into this game, both teams were leveled on points, and we're fighting to, for at least for now, leap into that third place spot in the Eastern Conference. And something I think, we did get the party started early with that goal from Lewis Hilton after some amazing work from Seba Gonzalez just on the edge of the box. Put a lovely cross and took a little, deflection and stuff like that. But credit to Lewis Hilton for staying aware and getting that rebound. And, it was a great goal. You could tell, the stadium was up for it. And James, you and I talked about, how can the Rowdies make outlaying that fortress again? The best way to do that is by scoring an early goal. It puts everyone on good vibes. But no, Tulsa they were good defensively. Their center backs and even their fullbacks, they were really physical, really strong. They were good in the air. They looked like they were up for the challenge. Even after they conceded that first early goal, they looked like they were up for the challenge. They were definitely, giving the Rowdies players their fair share. They were pushing them around, throwing their bodies in challenges, making good saves, making good slide tackles. It looked like the Rowdies were in. Even though they got that early goal, the Rowdies did look like they were in for a long night in regards to getting another goal. Or, I'm really trying to break down the defense again. But I think one thing that the Rowdies really showed this past Saturday is that their firepower finally showed up in this game. And he talked about, did the Rowdies put their reserves in? They did have some rotation in here, but we showed that we could put rotation in any game and get a win, at least from this game against Tulsa, because we've seen, as we always do from the Rowdies, a lot of consistent crosses in the box, winning the second balls like Lewis Hilton did in that rebound, taking players 1v1 like Sabo did in that first goal, and what Leo Fernandez did in that third goal. All these tactics were very, very successful for the Rowdies to get the goals, and that's something that Rowdies fans love to see from their team to play at Outlang and get the win. And like I said, Tulsa were good defensively, but however, James, offensively, they never really had anything going. Besides, in the first half after the Rowdies scored that first goal, Raiko didn't really give a good ball to the center mids for the Rowdies. I'm not sure who was passing it to, but that ball quickly got overturned, and Raiko had made a reflex save, about 5 feet away from him to, make a great save, or else it would have been 1-1. And also, besides that one goal that Tulsa did score towards the end, that was really, all the good chances I've seen. There was this one chance from Tulsa, James. If this shot would have been made, it would have definitely been nominated for Goal of the Week. I can't recall which player it was from Tulsa, but they had a finesse shot outside the 18. It looked like it was going in from my angle. Luckily, it hit the post, and it didn't go in. And so that was good for Rowdies fans. But James, I'm gonna say something, and I'm pretty sure you're very much aware of this. But once again, missed chances remained a problem for this Rowdies team. And James, we talked about it for weeks how we really need to put these chances away, or else it'll come back to haunt us. Luckily, this past Saturday it didn't, because we got 3 goals. But James, we're in, I believe this is the 6th or 7th game already for the Rowdies. What's your take on the fact that we're having so many missed chances and not really converting them? Although we did score 3 goals, we're still missing these key chances. Well, what's your take on that?
I think that it's just going to come down partly to confidence and partly to players possibly coming into a new team. Now, you talk about which players those are. Steven Dos Santos was here last year. Sebastian Guenzati was here last year. Juan Tejada was here last year, although he didn't get the most consistent run of play. And Leo Fernandez playing up top. That's not usually where he plays. He usually plays as the left wing back. So anytime he would be up there, that would be a little bit of a different spot. I'm not sure if it just comes down to that, or if it just comes down to players getting used to the runs that they have to make, because, Jake Lacava has actually started the season very well, but this is still very new for him, obviously. It would also be new for Kyle Grigg, although he did get this goal today, or this past weekend. And, I think one of the things that he said in his post-game interview as the guy who scored the goal was just that, he has had to, in the last couple of weeks, kind of learn what his runs are supposed to be. When you're in whatever position on the field, you have a certain set of tasks, and those tasks, depend obviously on where the ball is, who has it, all that kind of stuff. It's not exactly set plays like in, American football, but you can kind of think of it like that. And you are definitely supposed to be making runs to certain places, unless, of course, there is something where you see, this pattern of play isn't going to work. I'm going to improvise. Improvisation is obviously a large part of soccer too. But otherwise, if you can create those patterns and reproduce them, then you're going to, try and create your best chances based on what you think the opposition is not going to be able to handle. So as they learn those roles and as they learn those a little bit better, you hope that the scoring picks up. And then, of course, just confidence. Confidence will help with that a lot too.
Yeah, no, I agree with everything you just said. I'm pretty sure people listening to this episode, they're probably thinking, Leo, we scored 3 goals. Why are you talking about missed chances? I'll tell you why. Because Neil said in the post-match press conference, he said that the Rowdies need to put their chances away during the game in order to avoid a nervy finish to the game. And we did see Tulsa get a goal in the 83rd or 84th minute, and that cut the Rowdies lead in half. So all they needed was one more goal, one more chance to tie that game up. However, luckily, Leo Fernandez showing his skill and putting a crossing for Deion Harris to score saved us from that scenario. But, James, we talk about missed chances. Seba Gonzalez had a penalty, and, someone who hasn't had registered a goal yet this season doesn't make that penalty. Other crosses in the box where no one really reaches the end of it. If you put these chances away, you could avoid and then refinish. And maybe, rest other players to keep one eye on that Orlando City game this Wednesday. However, we did talk to John Stead, the assistant coach, last week saying that all substitutes will be strictly for the Tulsa game. However much I believe that's a different conversation. I do believe that, if we would have put these chances away, we would have given other players more rest. That's why I say that. But besides that, James, I think this was a dominant performance from the Rowdies, a 3-1 win. Wish we kept the clean sheet. We didn't. But however, I did like what I see in regards to crosses, 1v1s, and winning the second balls.
Well, that is all very good news. I think that, it's good to get all of those things kind of firing. And even if, those missed chances that you noted, obviously we can still find goals from other places if we need to. So one other question that I had for you here, I got a couple from the man who actually saw it here. Are there any players who might have played their way into the future starting 11? So one quick example, specifically, Jake Arman has started 3 straight games now. So what did you think of him and the guys who were playing in new positions?
Yeah, no, I think Jake Ardman definitely put in a solid performance. I feel like his final cross or final touch to put in that one ball for another striker to get onto wasn't as strong as I know he's capable of doing. I do feel like he is adjusting to the way the Rowdies system, wants him to operate as a left wing back role. I thought defensively he did pretty well. He does need to work on, keeping up with the offensive part as well, because there was times in which, he could have made a deeper run whenever he would overlap. Instead, he was a little caught behind, so he couldn't really get behind defenders. But he's adjusting very well. I do think he needs more time to come in because I have here, once Leo Fernandez came in the stadium, you've seen the automatic difference. Maybe it's because the Tulsa defenders, they have tired legs from the time Leo was on the field, but you've seen the difference he brought to the table. He takes on players. More than one player, puts in great crosses in the box, and he does really well defensively. So you see the difference between the two players. Although, I'm pretty sure they're on different levels, and full respect to Leo Fernandez and Jake Arman, but I feel like Jake Arman needs to, he needs more time to adapt. In regards to Lawrence White in that back 3, he looked very, very solid to me. I was not even worried at all that Jordan Scarlett was in that back 3 because of how solid Lawrence White did. Connor Antley is still adjusting to that. The middle of that back 3, he's doing really well, if you ask me. Ryko, had 1 or 2 shaky moments, but besides that, made great reflex saves. There was this one, he came off his line to clear a ball. He took a strong hit, but it just shows that he's brave enough to go into or make a save. So that's like something you would really want from your goalkeeper. Another player. Another couple of players I want to mention is Greg and Dayon Harris. These are 2 players that got on the score sheet. I thought Greg did really well with the link-up play, getting behind defenders. He's not the fastest player on the field, but the way he uses his physicality to make it an advantage for himself and also his teammates. You see, he was in the perfect striker's position to get that second goal off of a good assist from Jake Lacava. I thought he put in a solid performance. And if I'm Steven Dos Santos, I know it was a kind of rotation game, but if I'm Steven Dos Santos, I'm trying to get a goal as well, to avoid those kind of thoughts from Neil Collins of maybe I should start Greg over Dos Santos. And Dayon Harris, James, we talked about this last season. He's just a really, really great super sub. I was hoping he would start more, but Sebastian Dahlgaard just keeps on performing at a high level this season so far. And, if Dayon Harris comes off the bench and keeps on scoring, he's going to make a case for him to be on a starting lineup. But besides that, Lawrence White did great in the back. Jake Arman, solid performance. And I was really impressed with Greg and Dayon.
All right. Well,
and also to note here, that goal was Dayon Harris's first professional goal. And he just knew how much it meant to him in the celebration.
I can only imagine what it would mean like to, get your first professional goal. But all of this depth is it's very promising, not only for us, as a team who will eventually have injuries down the line. But if there are losses of form, if you just need a super sub later on, the phrase you said for Dayon Harris, all of these are very good and promising things. But one other thing that I wanted to ask you here, this is my last major question. Sebastian Guenzati is his first, getting his first goal of the season, I should say. That has become a major talking point for the fans, for people who are going to the press conferences after the game. That has been, mentioned a couple of times here. And I know that he didn't score in this game, but he did seem to be involved, including on one, unfortunately, large play. But how did it go for him in this past game?
I thought, he's doing everything right that you want from a striker, besides putting the ball in the back of the net. I guess another way I could explain it is I feel like he's the Roberto Firmino of the USL because for those who don't know, Firmino plays for Liverpool. He's someone that has caught the attention of not really scoring goals, but he does really well in the build-up play. And that's exactly what Gonzalez did this past Saturday against Tulsa. You talk about that first goal for that Lewis Hamilton got. Lewis Hamilton really only got that goal because Seba Gonzalez was taking on, I believe, 2 or 3 Tulsa defenders and putting a lovely cross in the box. But yeah, his off the ball movement, his link up play, dragging defenders out wide, freeing up space for his teammates is all really great, James. But he's that final piece of putting the ball in the back of the net is just not there for him. And we talked about the penalty, probably the perfect opportunity for him, right? No defenders in front of you, it's just you and the goalie. Obviously, penalties there's always an advantage towards the person taking the penalty rather than the goalie trying to make the save. And I thought he put it away. Unfortunately, he puts it, too wide, hits the post and goes out. And at that point, James, I'm thinking to myself, I feel like it's more like, from what I see in the game, Saba physically is great, link up play, runs in behind. But in regards to finishing, I feel like that's more on his mental side of the game. I feel like usually he would put that penalty away or put other chances away. So I just hope it doesn't take too much of a toll on him. I hope he does get, his scoring boots on and, gets his first goal this season because, we're going to need it, especially for the midweek game coming up.
Absolutely. So like I said, was not there to see this, and I still have not been able to do the rewatch. I am going to go by your man of the match here, and Eureka will throw it up, our producer, on Twitter when we get the chance. But who is your man of the match so that I can double up on that pick and say that I am smart enough to make this decision for myself?
Yeah, I might surprise a few people, but my man of the match is not going to be any of the goal scorers. That's what I usually like to do, James. I like to cheat my way out and pick a goal scorer. This time I'm going to go with Lacava. I was really impressed with his play. He was the reason why we had a penalty in the first place. He just dribbled through 3 or 4 defenders for fun, making it look so easy. Put in a lovely cross for Greg to get that second goal for the Rowdies, and just put on a solid performance. Someone who just loves running after defenders, someone who loves taking defenders 1v1, creating chances, putting crosses in the box. I thought, he looked like his usual self out there. He's definitely a man playing in form. If not, I also think he's the best player for the Rowdies so far this season, and I got to give him the man of the match.
All right. Well, waiter, please put us down for 2. Jake Lacava as the man of the match. But that will take us into our hot take. And I'm going to go really quickly here because mine is a very quick hot take. I wanted to note for everyone who is listening that, when we look at this team, it did look very much rotated, but there were really only 2 actually irregular starters in our 11. Kyle Gregg and Reiko Rosarena have not started a game up until this past weekend. Everyone else had started a game, even if they were less regular starters or had played, elsewhere, as in the case of Jan Ecker. So I don't want everybody to just kind of get carried away with looking at the depth and going, oh, we need to start making these changes, swapping players around. Let's just keep our heads a little bit more level than that.
Yeah, definitely. No, I agree. I don't want people to overreact, if you will, But with my hot take for this week, James, I hope it doesn't get me canceled for the Rowdies fan base. But it might be a really hot take. But I do believe that Seba Gonzalez, at least for now, should be put off taking the penalties. I do think, his last 2 penalties he's missed, this past weekend against Tulsa. And as everyone knows, the penalty before that he missed was against Orange County in the USL Championship final. He just looks like a man that is doing everything right besides putting the ball in the back of the net. And I think, coming up, especially for that midweek game and, just any other USL games, you need to capitalize on penalties because those chances do not come too often in soccer. So, to me, if I was to choose someone else to take the penalty, I'm thinking between players who are in form. So that could be Lewis Hilton, Jake Lacava, Leo Fernandez. I feel like these players, they've gotten a score sheet. They're giving assists. They've always looked like, they're cool, calm, and collected every time they're on the field. So those 3 players, I would be happy to take the penalties moving forward. And once you see Gonzalez finally getting the goals coming in, and you could tell he's feeling himself again in front of the goal, then I wouldn't mind him being put back on penalty duties. But for now, I just think you really need to capitalize on those chances And, I'm putting my money on Lacava, Hilton, or Fernandez over Guinzotti, who's missed his last two.
It is a hot take. That's one of our spicier takes that we've had in this section. But I will say, I tend to agree with you because unfortunately, these are a couple of, especially obviously you look to the final and you don't want to harp on anything like that. But that is a very important miss. That would have changed the whole landscape of the game. Before it was before Orange County had scored, and I remember that was not his first missed penalty of last season. So maybe if we get 2 penalties in a game and the first one's already converted, then you let Sebastian Guinzotti step up. Will you agree to that one?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that will agree with. Depends. there is one depends. If it's time, if we scored a penalty and whoever we're playing against scores and it's 1-1 and there's a second penalty, in that case, maybe I wouldn't put Guinzotti. Maybe I'll put someone else.
Okay.
But if we have a good lead and we have a second penalty, then Guinzotti I would. But thank you, James, for volunteering to get canceled with me. I really do appreciate that.
Well, hey, if the ship is going down, we might as well let the women and children off first, right?
Exactly.
So, we will move now from our hot take into the standings update. And really quickly here, we will get through that before we move into our previews. We're actually going to do them in reverse order, which is not what we usually do, but chronology does not actually equal importance this week. So let's get into the standings. The Rowdies sit in third place behind Louisville City and Pittsburgh on 12 points from 7 games. Now, Louisville City is running away with it right now. They have 17 points from their 7 games, and Pittsburgh have 13 from their 6 games played. Detroit City, the Miami FC, and Memphis 901 all can overtake us because they have games in hand right now. Over in the West, very quickly, San Diego Loyal sit on 16 points from 8 games played. Colorado Springs have 15 points from 6 games played. San Antonio have 15 points from 6 games played. Las Vegas Lights, the surprise package, have 12 points from 7 games played, who just beat Pittsburgh, in fact. And Phoenix have 12 points from 6 games, just like us at the moment. But we are going to move, like I said, not chronologically, but go ahead and do the preview for the game that is on Saturday. This Saturday, the Rowdies will play the New York Red Bulls 2 at up in New Jersey. I believe they are still playing at Montclair State University, and the game will actually be at 1 p.m. So if you have plans in the middle of the day, I got to tell you, cancel them right now because you're going to be putting on ESPN Plus instead, and you got to support the Rowdies against the Baby Bulls. Now, I do want to say,
go day drinking, right?
Hey, there you go. Any excuse you need. But the Baby Bulls are in second last in the East this year. They are not likely to put up that much of a fight. And, we say that now, obviously things can change. But we should also note that it could be a lot of familiar and young faces if we remember playing this team last year. And possibly that includes Jordan Adebayo-Smith.
Yeah, and James, I want to ask you quickly, because I know in Europe, whenever a player faces his team that he's on loan from, he can't play that game unless like a certain fine is paid. Is Jordan Adebayo-Smith allowed to play against the Rowdies even though he's on loan from us? Does that also apply in USL or no?
This is something that I also thought of ahead of our preview here. And in the press releases that I found, at least, I could not find any information specifically about whether or not he could play against us or couldn't. So right now, I'm just going to say he could be there. We're not entirely sure at the moment here at RBLR, unfortunately.
Yeah, this thing about to say may be a far stretch, but last season we seen Jake Lacava play for the Baby Bulls, so maybe James, this Saturday we might see another Jake Lacava in the future, and that might come on loan to the Rowdies. Who knows, right?
They do have a very good youth academy. We got to, unfortunately, we do have to give the New York Red Bulls credit there. They have produced players like Tyler Adams and, Jake Lacava. Jake Lacava is not quite at the same level as Tyler Adams, but who's to say that he won't be there someday?
Exactly.
He's definitely doing very well. So everybody knows the Red Bulls try to play a very aggressive and vertical game. They try to get the ball up the field as quickly as possible and break, a blitzkrieg essentially. And that is their game plan. But we should still expect a win from this game. The only potential issue I see is a possible Open Cup hangover. That depends a lot on the result from that Open Cup game. So do we want to just go ahead and jump into the predictions, Leo?
Yeah. I'm cool with that. I'll go first. You said it yourself, James. We should expect nothing but a win this game. I think that's easily, I think that's something that can be easily said. So with all that being said, I'm gonna go with a 4-0 win for the Rowdies. I'm gonna go with the big win.
4-0 win. Okay. Well, I'm going to say, because we are on loan, I would love to do the 4-1 to the lads, but today I'm going to say 3-1 against the Baby Bulls. So we will record those predictions and we will make sure to track them.
At least we both predict at least we both predict plenty of goals for the Rowdies, right?
That's exactly right. We are doing that because frankly, they should. But all right, we've got one more preview to do, and it
the one
is
everyone's
for Wednesday.
been waiting for. Yep, the one game everyone's excited for.
This is what everybody is tuning in for, as far as I know, as far as I'm aware. Leo, I'm going to turn it over to you to discuss our Open Cup game against Orlando City.
Yeah, I mean, James, it doesn't get more exciting than this, right? So we are in the third round of the U.S. Open Cup, and the Rowdies will continue this journey on Wednesday away to Orlando City. And for those of you who would like to know, James, Yuri, and myself will all be going to the game. However, we will not be on the awesome party bus that the Ralph Small's got. Seems that if you are on that bus, please enjoy the hell out of it. It seems like a very, very awesome experience and a very, very fun time as well. But the game will be played at Exploria Stadium in downtown Orlando, just outside downtown Orlando, after some initial confusion about the venue. And James, I have a quick question for you. I seen that the Miami FC is hosting their game against Inter Miami. So why isn't this game being played at Outland?
Right. So, this is where a bit of that confusion comes into play. Now, people did ask about this online, and the Open Cup, the people who run the Open Cup, the committee, apparently they have specifications for what a stadium is supposed to be, and those stadium specs were not met by Al Lang, supposedly. Now, I don't know exactly which specifications we were not able to meet because, as you said, Inter Miami are actually going to play. I guess in Miami for the first time when they play the Miami at their home stadium. So
it's at FIU, exactly. Isn't it? Yeah. So see that I'm a little confused about because if you compare Explorer to Al Lang, obviously Explorer has many more seatings, but like both have one scoreboard, at the end of each side. And to me, there ain't really too much besides the amount of seats. There ain't really too much differences between the two stadiums. And if like location is one of those specifications or whatever, both are in their downtown cities. So I'm very confused about.
I really don't think it has anything to do with being downtown. I just can't say that I know exactly which one we did not meet. And I wish that there were a little bit more clarification on this, but there was also confusion over the fact that Orlando originally said that they were playing outside of Exploria Stadium. They were playing, I believe, at a place in Osceola, if I'm not mistaken. So it's been a bit of a colossal mess from the Open Cup committee.
just more reason for the fans to get mad at each other and hyped up for the game, right? But
there you go.
Exactly. Yeah, but if we're gonna talk about more about our opponent, Orlando City are actually doing very well right now this season in MLS, despite a relative lack of success in I guess their first 5 years in Major League Soccer. Currently, they sit second in the East. They have 14 points from 8 games. They're just behind Philly, Philadelphia Union, who experienced their first loss of the season this past weekend. But I think something that makes Orlando City really strong is their head coach Oscar Pareja, who he is really good at developing young players. He's really good as a head coach in MLS. He spent time in FC Dallas. They're really great with that club. Spent some time in Mexico, wasn't really too successful, but ever since he came back to MLS, he really changed the culture and environment for Orlando City. And you talk about the Orlando James, they do have international players in regards to Pedro Galeza, who's a starting goalkeeper for the Peruvian national team. They have Sebas Mendes, who is a starter for the Ecuadorian team. Facundo Torres, a very exciting up and coming youngster out of the Uruguay First Division League. He also is an international player for Uruguay. And I'm pretty sure most people around, if you're a soccer fan, you know who Alexandre Pato is. He's someone that didn't really live up to his potential due to injuries and stuff like that, but he's found his feet throughout his career, and he's now at Orlando City. Other players to mention, Cesar Araujo, Mauricio Pereira, who is their captain, and also Junior Urso, who's just, who's someone who he never stops running whenever he plays. But James, what do you think the Rowdies should do going into this game? What can we expect? What can we not expect? What do you think they'll do heading into this game?
Yeah, so obviously the Rowdies can go into most games that we play expecting to dominate. We are one of the best teams in our league, if not the best. There's a championship title that we don't have, but we don't need to talk about that specifically this episode. Otherwise, I think we've been pretty much the best, and I don't think, though, all of our domination will, lead to that same kind of game against Orlando City. Now, Orlando City does have a ton of quality. You just went through, several of their top South American players, and there's a lot of quality. Obviously, in that continent, going all over the world, Orlando City has taken advantage of these very good players. Some of them up and coming, some of them, getting towards the end of their careers, but still obviously extremely talented. And we are not going to be able to expect to dominate the way that we usually do. We're mostly likely going to need to defend and counter. That's going to be what a team in our position likely wants to do, the same way that I'm sure the Villages wanted to line up against us. That didn't happen for them, but I'm hoping that we have a little bit better of a result. However, I do want to say, when we have the ball, we can't just, when we get it off of them, we can't just try to counter at top speed, attack them as fast as we can and then hope for the best and usually give the ball away. The one thing that I'm sure Neil Collins is going to try to have them do is maintain possession as much as they can, because that is not only going to allow the Rowdies to try and build up their own game the way that we like to play, but it is also going to give the Rowdies players a rest, which most likely they will need in between, very hectic passages of play while we're all defending, if anybody can predict how this game is going to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, definitely. And just to add on to your point, last week's pregame press conference, I asked John Stead, the assistant head coach for the Rowdies. He said that, he likes to win games by playing the Rowdies. But he likes to win games by playing the Rowdies' way, whether that's dominating the game, as you said. However, I do think heading to this game, I'm pretty sure him and Neil know that they can't really approach this game in that same manner. They do have to be that team that sits back, defends, and hits them on the counter. I feel like that's their best approach to this game, so I agree with you on that. Just to transition over to Orlando quickly, they do have players who in different positions that do contribute not only to assist and playmaking, but also contribute to the goals as well. So the threat could come from anywhere, James. Facundo Torres, Mauricio Pereira, and Juan, who is their starting right back. All these players are heavily involved in the attack. The fullbacks love to get high up the field, love to make the overlapping run, love to be that extra option to get crosses in the box or to create plays. One thing you have here, James, is that Orlando City, they also have a height advantage. Hopefully that doesn't work as a disadvantage towards us. Hopefully we don't have Lewis Hilton marking a Urchan Carr or something like that. But this game, it is a midweek game for both the Rowdies and Orlando City, so possibly Orlando could rotate this game. We don't know yet. I'm pretty sure for sure they'll take this game very seriously. Orlando City assistant head coach Josema Bazan, he did say that this game is an opportunity for young players to showcase their skill and show that that they're able to play at this level. But also, he also said that the team does want to win, and they do understand that it's an important match for the club, and they also do not want to rotate too much. This was reported by Mike Gramajo, who is a great sports journalist based in Orlando. I talked to Mike before. I really appreciate the work he's doing. So just a special shout out to Mike. But with all that being said, James, kind of confusing words from Orlando. They're going to pay their young players, but they don't want to rotate too much, but they're taking it as an important game. So I kind of really don't know what to expect for Orlando City.
I'm thinking that maybe they will probably give some players who haven't started every game the chance to go out there and, continue to work their way into the lineup. And I'm thinking possibly they will look to give some players who have played, let's say 90 minutes for 8 games, maybe give them a rest. And I'm not sure, is that the fullbacks? Is that maybe the goalkeeper? I don't know. Is that one of the central midfielders? I know that Cesar Araujo playing in their central midfield. He will possibly get a rest considering how much he's played so far. Junior Urso is a player that you mentioned as, someone who's extremely high energy, and maybe you want to think about conserving his energy for the MLS games, which they might consider more important, because you get points obviously in those games. So I don't know. Frankly, I'd like to see him out there because he is a bugger to play against. He is very annoying. If you are the opposition, he will get in your face, like not only when you have the ball, but also just, let's say, in between plays when the ball is off the field. He will be there to try to piss you off.
Yeah.
But let me ask you, Leo, we, probably want to expect Neil's absolute best 11 out of this game.
Definitely.
So what changes to the starting lineup do you expect to see? What do you think that starting 11, the absolute best one that Neil Collins can envision right now, looks like?
Well, I think Neil definitely, in regards to the goalkeeping position, I think he has more trust into CJ Cochran. So him, I feel like, put him as a starting goalkeeper. Your back line has to be Guillen, Connor Antley, and Jordan Scarlett. Your four in the midfield, from left to right, Leo Fernandez, Lewis Hilton, Lawrence White, and Sebastian Dalgard on the right. And up top, I'm having Lacava, Dos Santos, and Guenzati. I feel like that is the strongest lineup so far. When you look at this team, obviously they have options coming off the bench. You have Deon Harris, Juan Tejada, Greg. You have players who Jake Armin, you got players who will come in and make a difference. But in regards to the start lineup, that's who I would want to see. What about you, James? Who would you like to see?
Yeah, I think that right now, when fans or us in the media with heavy air quotes there, when we want to describe who is who the best starting 11 is, definitely the back line seems to be set. The midfield seems to be set. I think that the most questions appear when we look up top, and Sebastian Guenzati hasn't got his account started this season. He's going to at some point. Everybody knows he's going to at some point. It's just, when is it going to be? But I think that his quality overall, as you mentioned, he is doing all of the things that you want a striker to do, even if that one thing that remains elusive is actually scoring. So I think that he still keeps his spot. Jake Lacava, for me, definitely has been one of the best players early on this season, and his individual play, not only is he very good in, the Rowdies pressing game, but he's also fearless when he has the ball at his feet. He will make life hell for a defender because, anybody running at you, you can probably handle, 9 out of 10 of those. But if they're so fearless that they're going to keep going at you, then one of those they're going to break through, and it doesn't matter what level it is. You might just slip. It doesn't matter. Like, Jake Lacava will force something to happen. That much I can say. And Steven Dos Santos, I think that everybody knows his quality in the hold-up role. So, as long as everybody's firing on all cylinders, I don't expect that this team, or that 11, I should say, I don't expect that they are anything less than what the Rowdies have to offer when we are going up against the best of the best. So Orlando is almost the best of the best, and we gotta go all hands on deck to beat this game and to beat this team in this game. And I'm hoping that we do.
Quickly, James, I want to say, you talk about Dos Santos, and you mentioned, we both mentioned just before getting to what we want to see. We talked about how Orlando City, they have the height advantage and maybe the physicality advantage. So you have someone like Dos Santos up there equaling their height and physicality.
Exactly.
That also work for us as well. Also, for Orlando, we might see some U.S. men's national team youth players in regards to Andres Pereira and Benji Michel, who participated in for the U.S. men's national team when they tried to qualify for the Olympics. Weren't successful, but they were there. And we might see former USL right back Kyle Smith make a start this game too. I'm not sure. Did he play for Louisville or?
He did. Yep.
He did, right? So we might see a familiar face out there as well. So with all that being said, James, oh my gosh, I feel like this is gonna be really hard to make predictions. James, do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first? It's gonna be hard, man.
All right. I'll go first. Okay. It's definitely going to be hard.
Thank you for being the man I couldn't be in regards to predictions.
Well, I want to say beforehand, this I've kind of spent all week. I created the bullet points and everything for our discussion like last Monday. I finished the document for our episode last Monday, and then I was just so excited. I went and I did the basic outline for this, and then obviously I filled it in after this game against Tulsa. But this is how much it's been in my head. I don't know if anybody out there listening knows the name Kevin Keegan, but he used to manage Newcastle when Newcastle was a very good team in the 90s, and going up against Manchester United, who were run by Sir Alex Ferguson, of course. And there is a very famous video clip of him getting, because Fergie played a lot of head games with Kevin Keegan in this period. So there's a very famous video clip of him going into the camera with his fist shaking. He was going, I would love it if we beat them. I would love it. And that is exactly how I felt all week. I have been shaking with excitement, but also, unfortunately, if anyone knows the story of that video clip, they also know that Kevin Keegan effectively lost that battle and was blown out of the water. Ferguson won, and Ferguson won that game, and I believe they won the league that year. But Kevin Keegan was not really a very effective manager shortly after that. So I'm not sure if that's actually a good thing to go with here. All of that is going to be the long preamble to my prediction here, and I'm going to say I would love it if we beat them. I'm going to say 1-0 to the Rowdies.
What 1-0 to the Rowdies? I really, really much love that prediction, James. Just to add on to how you got that confidence from seeing that former Newcastle manager, I want to add on to another former Newcastle manager, Alan Pardew. There was a game where Newcastle scored, and he was dancing in front of the cameras, having the time of his life, only for, I believe, Manchester United to come back and beat Newcastle United. So maybe it was a dance too early, but the fact that he did get that motivation, thinking he was gonna win. With all that being said, oh my gosh, my heart is telling me the Rowdies, what it will mean for this fan base, what it will mean for the Rowdies moving forward, beating a fellow in-state rivalry. I don't want to be that guy, James, but I feel like if I'm keeping it real, as I've always done in this show, I do think the Rowdies are going to put up a fight, but I'm going to just say, I think Orlando will win this game 2-0.
2-0.
So,
okay.
So those listening, please do not hate me. I'm just trying to keep it real. My heart is hoping the Rowdies, and I hope our producer Yuri, when he makes the post of our predictions, he puts a little asterisk saying Leo is being real. He's not being in his heart. He's hoping the Rowdies will win, but this is his realistic prediction. Yeah, so that's my prediction, James. What do you think?
Leo, you've got 2 cancelable offenses, but I've only got one this episode, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, one more. I'm out the game, man. One more cancelable take. I'm out the game, man.
That's right, 3 strikes. But
Yes,
all right, that's going to take us into our last segment here, the One More Thing segment. So please, everyone, as you know, liking and subscribing is free, and we want you to do that. If you have not, please do so. But if you think that possibly you need some new threads this year, you need any new T-shirts coming up for some swanky new events, hey, why not show off your support for RBLR Sports at the same time and head over to shop.rblrsports.com. You can check out a lot of cool designs that we've got going over there. Eureka, our producer, has told me that he's got something lined up just in case of some sort of miracle going on in Orlando. So we'll see. Obviously, it would be cool if we can chuck that up on the site, but either way, you should check it out, even if that doesn't make its way on there. Use the promo code COYR for 10% off, and obviously that is a cool discount that you get. Everybody likes discounts, and everybody likes saying, come on, you Rowdies. Another thing that we want to mention, Lewis Hilton's goal versus Tulsa is nominated for the USL Goal of the Week. Please make sure to go vote. The winner will be announced on Thursday. And I want to say, as something that I have done, I wrote an article last week about the return of the Open Cup. If you could, please check it out. And if you have any feedback, obviously, please let us know. Trying to write some more stuff for RBLR Sports overall. And this was just the latest one that I put out after finally getting my piece out on the U.S. men's national team versus Panama game. So those are all the things that we wanted to mention related to the Rowdies. And Leo, I think we have one more thing that isn't specifically related to the Rowdies here.
Yeah, so Tampa Bay Bandits, they played their first game today on Monday. However, when people listen to this episode, it'll be a Tuesday, right? So if you're a Tampa Bay sports fan, we have another football team in the area, the Tampa Bay Bandits. They do play the first game. And luckily for our listeners, we also cover this team here at RBLR Sports. So make sure to listen to that coverage as well as the Rays, the Bucks, and the Lightning. We do cover those teams as well. Also, obviously, along with the Rowdies. But with all that being said, James, I'm excited for this weekend. And also, listeners, I hope you're excited. And don't forget to follow RBLR Sports on social media at RBLR Sports. We're on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. If you want to interact with James or myself, you can follow me on Twitter at I'm Leo Santos _. James, where can these people find you?
I am at RBLR James K, and you can also use the hashtag AskRBLR.
Exactly. Yeah. And also, don't forget to like and subscribe to our podcast. We do this for free as of right now. Forever, if you ever need to take money out of your wallet, take that up with our producer, Yuri. However, we are available on Spotify, our iHeartRadio app, Apple, Google Podcasts, YouTube, and all other major podcast platforms. What a day, James. We got a great week coming up, exciting week coming up. With all that being said, come on, you Rowdies, prove me wrong. Let's get that win against Orlando this Wednesday, and I'm just very excited.
Come on, you Rowdies.
Let's go. Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.